I'm here. I made it. Thanks for waiting for me. Kind of forgot that I had scheduled it for 6 instead of 7 for a while. I got busy with little Hazel. Drinking my ale of ginger. Ah. Hey, Alan. I had somebody last week that was on the East Coast and it was like 11 o'clock at night and they had to bail. So I decided to move it up to 6. So I'm sorry if you didn't get the message. Yeah. Yeah, Shauna, I think it was you, Shauna, that had to bow out. So it's no big deal. We'll move it. We'll move it back an hour. So that's fine with me. Hope everybody's fine with it too. So, all right. Well, Alan, I apologize about that. Yeah, that's the danger with social media and doing it through social media, and it doesn't show anybody. Even if I put these videos up and Facebook showed everybody, then I'd be in Fat City. But I put up an announcement for these videos and stuff like this, and social media just shows it to 6 people or something, and I got like thousands of people that follow me. So, what I probably could have done was maybe put out an announcement on my newsletter. So, yeah, right on. Wait for a couple more minutes here. I have to look close because I still haven't got my new glasses, so I've got some funky readers here. So if you guys see me moving in and out, I'm trying to read the chat. So, and I've got another screen that's next to me here. Alan, I promise I won't change it again. It's going to be 6 p.m. every Sunday night, and I'm going to try to do it every Sunday night. So if I and I'll use my newsletter too. But I think the last time I sent a newsletter out, I think maybe 40% of the people saw it and opened it, and it was mostly I think because it gets put in with promotions and stuff with people that have their emails set up in different categories. One of them is promotion on Gmail, and my newsletter went in there and it's mixed up with all these ads with all these photos and things in there. So I don't think some people even see it. It's just really hard for me to be able to get the word out about this kind of stuff, you know. So I think I've got, uh, let's see, how many people do I have following me? Let's just say, let me think here. Let me look. Okay, on Instagram, let's see here. Where am I at? I have 28.9 thousand. So I've got like 29,000 followers. Let's just say I came up with a way for each one of those people to give me even a dime every month. You know, it'd be even awesome if it was like if everybody got, something in return for $1 a month. I've considered going in and trying to get my, especially now that I'm going to be doing these videos and stuff. I'm just at a point now where I need to just pay attention to doing some YouTube stuff, and this is the best way for me to share, with everyone is to do a video, and these live videos on Sunday night, I think, is a good way to get things kicked off. So, yeah, a Patreon. That's what I'm saying. I have a Patreon channel, but I need to push it, and I also need to kind of finish the rewards and stuff that are on there. So, all of this stuff is, Alan, you got it right, man. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. So that'll motivate me to get this done. I get a little discouraged with this kind of stuff because it's like I really want everybody to know about it, and then I put it out on Facebook, nobody sees it, and then I get pissed off and discouraged, and I don't want to do it, and then I go out and play with my little dog instead. So, but I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that I need to probably allocate my work time a little bit better away from things that don't have as much of a return. And I think that the videos, I think, are going to be the best return that I have on the time that I spend trying to communicate with everyone. So you guys that are showing up for these Sunday night sessions are going to be my core. I really appreciate everybody doing this. So, all right, let me see. It's already 10 after, so let me get moving here. So I said that tonight what I would talk about is my approach when I'm out in the field. Generally speaking, when I get out into the field, into a location that I want to photograph, I try to get there early enough that I can wander around and try to find different foregrounds and different compositions and stuff. And if I have all that stuff set in my mind, when the sunset comes, for instance, if all of a sudden the sky pops, I already know where there's 4 or 5 comps. So I can go through and get a shot during the nice sweet light over here, get another one over here, and go get another one over there instead of standing in one place through the whole sunset, then coming home with only one photograph. So I do my best to try to get there and show up and scout the area. Okay. And so that's a good way to make hay, and be productive on a good night during some good sweet light. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is what it is that I'm trying to gather while I'm out there doing this. Okay. So it doesn't sound very artful or artistic to say that we're out in the field trying to gather digital information, but we really are. We're using our camera to be able to gather digital information that we bring into Lightroom to interpret into our photograph. Okay. So it's imperative for us to be able to return with as much digital information as we can and quality information that we have. And so the image is processed into this imitation, or the image that we're photographing is processed into this digital information, right? So the first thing that I use while I'm out in the field to make sure that I have good digital information is my histogram. And if anybody's taken any of my workshops or have listened to me speak, like in a group, like a photo club or something like that, I always harp on trying to use your histogram the best you can. Okay. So, be able to make sure that I have all the highlights and all the shadows and all the information that I need. I got to pay attention to my histogram. In Lightroom, the histogram is my process goes through from the field into Lightroom, and that histogram follows me. The histogram that you see in Lightroom is probably going to be better than the one that you look at on your screen, on your preview screen, because it's an image. It's like a processed JPEG that the camera processes and then shows to you. Okay. And then the histogram on the camera is reading that processed image that's being shown on your preview screen. So when you bring it into Lightroom, Lightroom is actually reading the proper histogram for that image. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you're probably going to have a better histogram when you get back to processing your photos. I think we all know how to read our histograms by now, but on the left-hand side, in case somebody is here that doesn't, our left-hand side is our shadows. The right-hand side is our highlights. And so we try to make sure that we don't spike on either end on our shadows or our highlights. But if you're at a really high dynamic range where you got deep shadows and deep highlights, always make sure that you protect your highlights and then let the shadows fall where they may. And that's if you're taking a single exposure photograph. If you have a difficult time with your histogram and it's really bright, real dark shadows, bracket your shots and blend afterwards in Lightroom. And blending in Lightroom is really easy. You just highlight your 3 photographs, right click on it and say merge to HDR, and then it'll return like a DNG file that's got all of the information from all 3 photographs in there. Pardon me. Ale of ginger's kind of popping up on me here. And so always protect your highlights on the right side of your histogram and let your shadows fall. You can always bring out some detail in your dark shadows, but if your highlights clip on the right-hand side and they go all the way up to the top and are clipped, there's no digital information in the highlights. It just ends up being a washed out area, okay? So protect your highlights and let your shadows fall where they may, and then get your histogram. So that's our exposure, okay? So when I'm in the field, there are 3 things that I want to get. One of them is exposure, and that's what I just talked to you about. While we're out there, we are reading our light meter that's in our camera or on our camera screen and using it to set our exposure, okay? I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But the first thing that I typically do when I'm out there, when I'm looking at my photo, is making sure that I have the right composition that I want, okay? So I have the right comp that I want. The second thing that I look for when in my photograph is to make sure that I have the focus where I want it. So I want to make sure that everything's focused the way I want. I'll go through my focus again. And I mentioned it the last time that we had this get together. But the way I focus my photos is that I will, number one, keep in mind that the closer to the front element of your lens your foreground gets, the narrower your depth of field gets, okay? So you want to stand back from your foreground, and that will increase your depth of field. If you want a bigger and bolder foreground, back off and then zoom into it, okay? And that has an additional benefit of bringing in the background even bigger too. And so in a photograph where you have some rows of lavender, here, let me do this. Let me share my screen with you, okay? This is it here. Way you guys aren't looking at me and my ugly face, but you're actually looking at my photograph here, and I'll talk about it as I go. All right. So in this particular case, if you look down here, are you guys seeing? Make sure you guys are seeing this. We had some problems with people not hearing us last time or something. So if you guys are seeing me and hearing me, okay, then I'm happy. Okay, great. Thanks, Alan. All right. So this is a good one for me to be able to explain this with, is this photograph right here. Your first impulse when you get to a field like this is to want to get up close to that foreground to get these rows in and get the lavender into your foreground, right? But the closer that you get to your lavender in the foreground, the blurrier, the more blurrier that the background gets. The background being Mount Hood primarily. But even this little house that's in the middle over here, it can get a little bit fuzzy too if you get close enough, okay? So if you keep that in mind, the best thing to do if you want to deal with a photograph like this is to stand back. I stood back probably maybe 20 feet or so when I did this, which allowed the depth of field to be increased and deeper, which allowed me to be able to get this in one shot instead of having to focus stack it, okay? So I stood back maybe 20 feet, and then I took, on my tripod, I took my camera and I zoomed in until I had this scene compacted the way I wanted it, okay? And then I focused off into infinity with my preview screen and my focus peaking on. If you guys have focus peaking, it works really good. Hey, Jay, how you doing, bud? Glad to see you here, man. So anyway, so I focus off into infinity, all right, and that makes this foreground fuzzy. But with my preview screen on and magnified so that I'm looking at my foreground at the very closest part of my foreground, I bring my focus ring back from infinity until my foreground just barely comes into focus. I mean, it just starts and then gets into focus, and then I stop. And what that does is it keeps you from bringing that depth of field kind of behind you. What it does is it keeps you in front of you. So if it's blurry in the foreground because you're at infinity and you bring, see if I'm trying to see if I can do this here. Everything's backwards. So as you bring your depth of field back and you're back from infinity and you stop right at the flowers, you've maximized the amount of depth of field that you have. And so it'll take a photograph like this. And you can see here that you really don't need to focus stack this. All right. And enough benefit that it has that really works well for an image like this is that it compresses the background too. So if you're really close and shooting wide, the mountain in the distance is going to be it's going to be fuzzy. So, and it's going to be small. So benefit of me backing up about 20 feet or so, 15 feet, 20 feet, whatever it was, and then zooming into this is that I made the mountain bigger. I was able to still get my foreground in and get it in all into focus and got it in a single shot. Okay. So when I'm in the field, I make sure I have my composition. I make sure that I have my exposure, and I make sure that I have my focus. If I have my good comp and I have a good exposure and I have a good focus, then I know that I have everything that I need for that photograph, okay? And I won't have to repeat it. So if you remember when I first started this, is that when I get out in the field, I roam around and find as many comps that I can get when so that when the sweet light comes along, I'm ready. All right. So I go to the first location, the first comp that I found or foreground that I found, and I go over there. And if I make sure that I have a good comp and I make sure I have a good focus and I make sure that I have exposure. And if I have all three of those, then I have everything I need from that spot. I can move on to the next spot. So what I'm teaching you how to do is how to be productive and not guess whether or not you've got something good and sit there and keep taking photos of the same scene over and over again, hoping that, and twisting knobs and things like that, hoping when you get back home, you got something good. Okay. We want to make sure that we have everything we need in the field to come back and make the photographs that we need. So, and like I said before, it's digital information that's going to be interpreted in Lightroom, and then you're going to manipulate it from there. Does that all make sense? I hope it makes sense, because that's the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to tell you guys tonight. So you guys have any questions? I can look at the chat here and answer any questions you have. Otherwise, let's process a picture or something before I let you guys go, because we've only been doing this for 30 minutes. Less than that, 15 minutes. Took me 15 minutes to teach everything that I really wanted you guys to hear from me tonight. So, okay. So because you guys can see the lavender picture, let's just play with this for a little while and see how this turns out. Okay, I've already processed it once. It turned out kind of like that, and this has been a pretty popular one. And so, hey Scott, how you doing, bud? So I have a client, or I have a customer that's buying one of these that's 5 foot wide on a canvas this month. So I'm hoping they follow through, because I'm going to follow through with them for sure, because I would love to sell that to them in a 5 foot wide format. So it's sitting actually it's on the wall down at a wine and art shop that we have up here on the mountain. So all right, let me think here. Let me start over again, because this one here, I had to juice up the sky a little bit. So let's just pretend we're starting over here, okay? All right. So first thing that I worked on this, I believe, if I remember right, well, yeah, I want to make sure that I got my lens correction clicked, chromatic aberration, and enable profile. I like enable profile because it added some barrel distortion. It didn't take it away like it can sometimes. And then I make sure that chromatic aberration is always checked, and especially on a photograph like this where you have some dark areas against a bright sky. Let me see if I can see some here while let me zoom in here. Let me see if I can see some chromatic aberration here. Not a lot. I don't think it was like really, really bright, but see a little bit, but not so much. So this one wasn't a really good example, but I click it on anyhow. Okay. All right. Let's do this. First thing that I'm probably going to do is I'm going to start up here. I'm going to probably check my color profile and change it to a neutral profile. Flattens the image. And if you notice the histogram up here on the right, here, let me try that again. I'll show you. You'll notice that the histogram evens out when I do that. Okay. So, there it is, Adobe Neutral. And you'll even notice that there's a little bit more resolution in the sky. You can see the clouds up here, and you really couldn't before. They were really bright. But it did flatten the image. It flattens everything in the image. But another benefit that you have doing this is that you're able to see into your shadows a little bit more. Okay. And if you guys know me, I like to be able to look into my shadows. You know, I explained this the last time that we were doing this, is that your eyes are always constantly adjusting to bright and darks and stuff. And so if you look out and you look into some shadows, unless it's like really dark, but if you're walking through the woods and if you look into a dark part of the forest, your eyes will adjust to it and see it. And so I want to be able to have you be able to look into the shadows in the photographs that I do and not have it completely black. Okay. And changing this color profile is one way that I do it. Okay. Next thing I do is I come over here to the white balance and I start messing with it and see auto kind of warmed it up a bit and made it a little bit more purple, especially up in the mountain and the sky. So I might go with that. Daylight's a little blue. Cloudy, it's not going to help me. Shade or auto, I think, are my two choices. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's kind of warming up the blues. And when you warm up the blues in the photo, they are going to kind of turn more purple for you. You know, especially when you add. There we go, something like that. And it depends, you know. Sometimes if you can pull a lot of blue in, and that's more. But these are more lavender, have a little bit more warmth to them. So I wanted to kind of capture that. Okay. Then I'm going to come down and I'm going to recover some highlights by pulling my highlights down. And this is a routine that I kind of go through with all of my photos. Then I'll bring the shadows up a little bit, but I'm going to bring my exposure back down when I do it. Kind of seems like I'm defeating my purpose there, but I can see all the way inside of the trees and everything, so I'm happy. Okay. All right. So what I want to do now, though, is I want to work on that sky. So I don't want to mess with the contrast and stuff that I'm messing with in the foregrounds and stuff until I get my sky, because I'm going to be doing a few global adjustments. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to create a new mask. Okay. And the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to select the sky, even though I remember that when I did a practice for this one, it didn't really work all that well, just because of this separation of the mountain there. But it allows me to maybe bring a little bit more substance to the sky up there, because it was a kind of a bright sky, I gotta admit, and I really was hoping for a little bit better sky, but it is what it is. Okay, and the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do a linear gradient. I'm going to pull it down from the top. And then I'm going to introduce some magenta into it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give it a little more purple to match the lavender in the foreground. Okay, let me try this one here, and I'll do the same with this one. Now we're starting to get some purple up in there, but nothing too crazy. Okay, now I got a little bit of purple in there. I'm going to go back to my sliders. I'm going to move my way down. Okay, so I'm going to maybe give it a little bit of the white slider to brighten it up a little bit. I'm going to leave my blacks where they're at. Black slider. I'm going to leave texture, clarity, dehaze alone. And for now, I'm going to leave my saturation alone, because I'm going to be doing something else with it. I'm going to be bringing this into Photoshop, and that's where I'll probably deal with making it more or purple. Okay, so I'm done with the basic module for now. I'm going to go down here to my tone curve, and I'm going to what I'm doing is refining the contrast in the photograph, and this is a real good way to be able to separate it from your shadows, from your highlights and stuff, is your tone curve. And I may go back and mess with my contrast, or excuse me, my exposure too, because it's kind of the exposure will affect everything that we're doing with the tone curve. Okay, so and I'm messing with just what it says over here. This will be the darks. Okay. Something like that. All right. Now what I want to do is find the center of the photograph. Pardon me. Good way to do it here is in Lightroom here. And you can use the guides to be able to see. And what I want to do is center the mountain. Okay, I don't want to clip the tree off in the top up there, so I'm going to sacrifice a little bit down here at the bottom, which doesn't hurt me any. Okay. All right, now let's play with some other masks up here. I want to do a vignette on this for sure. So I'm going to get my radial gradient out. And I'm going to start in the center right here. And I'm going to pull it out here like this. Somewhere like that, I think, would be good. Maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, and I want to center it right in here because I want it to include the mountain, this little building, and the backs of the rows of lavender here. Okay. All right. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click the three little deals up here in the corner, right next to the eyeball. Click this down and click duplicate and invert mask. How to save it with the mask? What you got to do here, follow along with me here, and I'll show you what we're doing because I'm messing with mask right now, and this will probably answer your question. Okay, so I've made my mask out here. It's red, showing me where it's at, right? So then I come over here with these three little dots, and I'm going to hit duplicate and invert the mask. Boom. So now what I've done is I've got two masks, one that's going to mess with the middle or the center of the photograph, and the other one, you can see where the red is on the outside. That'll be my vignette, so I can balance the two. Does that make sense to you guys? So now I'm just adding a little vignette in there. If I want to come in here, mess with this, I can mess with this too. Kind of like that. Maybe a little bit more on the outside vignette. There. All right. Starting to come together a little bit here. Now, I'm going to come back up to, another way that you can do a vignette that's really easy is come down here to transform. Oh, and I forgot to answer your question. So we're up here in our masks and we finish our mask and we've made our adjustments and everything, right? All you got to do is just come up here and click on the sliders. See this little slider icon up here. If you click on that, it saves those masks and goes back to your regular modules up here. So you can open up your basic module and then make some changes in here if you wanted to. Okay. Let me know if that answered your question. Okay. If not, I'll figure out what you're wanting to know. But that was a little confusing to me too when I first started doing these. Is that I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, how do I save it? You know, and I figured out I figured out that I had to just click on these little edit sliders here, and then it will save it, and the mask module will go away. That was a good question. All right, I came up and I pulled my magenta slider over, and it's given it a little bit more purple. You can even see it in the sky up there. But there's one thing that I do see in the sky that I want to affect. I want to affect the very top of it. I want everything vignetted down below, but not necessarily up in the sky. So I'm going to take a linear gradient and I pull this down up here so I can adjust that up there where I want it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to brighten it up a little. Let me pull this down a little bit more. And don't be afraid to move your sliders back and forth. It's a good way to see what the heck is going on, right? If you're doing it just in small increments, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell, especially when you make your first initial adjustment. Okay. All right. You know what I do see up there? I see dust bunnies. This thing was taken in 2018. Let me think. How many years ago was that? Like 8 years ago? And back then I was shooting with my D800, I think. And so this was a day where I didn't necessarily clean my sensor the way I should have. So let's do that. All right. Okay. I'm going to hit my space bar and the cursor turns to a magnifying glass. I'm going to move in. Okay. As long as you keep your finger on the space bar, you can move this stuff around in here. All right. I'm going to hit the remove tool. I'm going to spin my mouse wheel to where it's just over the edge of that. And then I'll just kind of wrap this around it. I see one here, one here, one here. Ugh, this was a bad day for dust bunnies, wasn't it? I'm hitting my space bar and I'm moving this around too. And you know what? I see dust bunnies easier if I'm moving this back and forth than I do if I'm just sitting here looking at them. I don't know why it is, but it's the truth. And so give it a try one of these days. If you're looking at dust bunnies, boy, I got a bunch of them on here, didn't I? If you're looking for dust bunnies, move the photo back and forth and you'll be able to see them better. I have no idea why. Just that it works for me. So, wow, this is terrible. Let me tell you, if you've stopped down, and this is stopped down to F16, because I was trying to go for some depth, right? And don't be afraid to stop down to increase your depth of field when you're trying to get a backdrop or background into focus, okay? So I stopped down to F16 on this one. Okay. This is embarrassing. Always bring your little hurricane blower, whatever they call those things, with you, and just give it a burst every now and then. I obviously was, this was towards the end of a workshop. I had been messing with the workshop, and this was the day the workshop ended. I don't know if that's much of an excuse or not, but anyway, I think I got them all. Okay. So then you come over here to the right and hit remove. And it'll sit and it'll remove them for you. Okay. I don't seem to have as much of a problem with my D850 as I did with my old D800 with dust bunnies. I think that the sensor cleaning is better on the D850 than the D810, because I have it set to blow on the sensor whenever I turn it on. So it's going to take a little time to do this. So hope everybody's doing good and had a good weekend. I'm right in the middle of a big old project here at the Homette. I've I'm in the middle of remodeling the bathroom. And while it's down, we've decided to put in a brand new sand filter septic system too at the same time. The old one was getting a little old, and the leach lines were a little slow, so it was quite an investment, but we're going to be glad when it's all finished, especially when the bathroom's done, because the bathroom was kind of crummy before. So Darlene will be happy. She likes nice tidy things. So having a brand new bathroom would be fun for her. After that, hopefully I'll be able to mess with the kitchen next. So, but during this whole thing, we've had, I think, 8 huge big maple trees knocked down. So my whole yard is full of wood and branches and stuff. So all that stuff has to be removed before the guy can do the septic. So we got a lot of work to do around here. A lot of work to do around here. Okay. All right. Let's see here. What's going on? Come on. Work for me here. Oh, my computer is just slow. All right. I want to go back into my, my center here. This one here. I think it's a little bit too bright. Okay. Okay. Ooh, processing a picture is kind of a creative flow, you know? Very rarely do I ever go into a situation where I'm processing a photograph and I know ahead of time, oh, I know I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do this, this, and this. It's usually one thing leads to another and it just kind of comes together. That's that's the creative side that I enjoy. It's not like painting a picture, but it's kind of like painting a picture, if that makes any sense. So, all right. I'm getting ready to bring this into Photoshop. Okay. So, right click, and then come up here and hit Add In, hit Adobe Photoshop, and it'll open up in Photoshop in a second or 2 or 3 or 4. All right, here we are. We're in Photoshop. I'm hitting Control-0 to have it fill the frame. Hit Control- to make it smaller, or Control+ to make it bigger. You can hit Control-1 and it'll zoom to its actual size. So I'm going to go Control-0 and I'm going to do one little minus thing here. I'm going to duplicate this layer, just because I always like to have a solid one down here at the bottom that I can always fall back on if I need to. It's from the old school. You know, you may not necessarily have to do it anymore with a lot of the non-destructive processes, adjustments and stuff being up here. So see all these adjustments. In the beginning in Photoshop, we didn't have all that stuff. We just had like this image adjustments. We had these. And so they affect the photograph without creating a layer above it. Whereas these adjustments here, these over here, they create a layer above it that you can always go back to. Here, let me show you. So let me do, what do I want to do? Let me do color and vibrance here. Okay. Let me mess with this. I don't want to make this too garish, but I do want to make it kind of purple all the way around. All right. So now I've added a little bit of magenta to that, and you can turn it on and off and see the difference. See, very slightly, but still it's there. And you can get a whole stack of these all the way at the top, and you can always come back to them. That's right. Thanks for letting me know. I have to figure this out. Share screen window, and I have to make sure that it's this one. All right, is that Photoshop? Whew. I'll figure this stuff out. Shauna, thank you very much for letting me know. Yeah. So when I go from Lightroom to Photoshop, I have to reshare the screen for some reason. I'm going to find a better way to do this, like, was it OBS or whatever it's called? So I am assuming that you now can see this one. Okay. So, yes, awesome. So what I'm doing is I'm showing how we can put all of these non-destructive layer adjustment layers up above the top of this. And then we can accumulate them as we go. Let's put that one there. We'll do some brightness adjustment, contrast, and let's see. Then we'll go to adjustments again, and then we'll do maybe levels. Sometimes I like to do levels. You could actually do everything in levels. You can actually do everything in what am I thinking of? My stupid brain. Curves. You can do everything in curves that you can do in levels. It's just that I've gotten used to using levels in the past. So, now I have 3 different adjustment layers on there. As I go, I can always go back to them if I want to. All right. So here, let me go. Let me see here. Make a couple of levels adjustments here. Okay. And I think I want to bring in the shadows a little bit more there, because I talked to you folks about the action that I use for my Orton effect. Pardon me. Don't know what's going on. Got a frog in my throat, I guess. So anyhow, so yeah, can't even remember what I was talking about. So I'm duplicating. All right, yeah. Okay, control. Let me go back. All right. So now what I'm going to do with these 3 level adjustments is I'm going to hit Control Shift Alt or Option and then E, and it'll make a merged layer of all these adjustments into one up here. Okay. This one was F16, Clyde, because I wanted to get good a longer depth of field, because I really wanted the mountain in the background in focus. I shouldn't say in focus so much as I should say acceptable focus, because you can see that it's soft in the background here. You can see that it's a little soft, but all that is the atmosphere between you and the mountain. Okay. And so because it's a little soft, but not out of focus, it's going to have a good separation between the sharp focus in the foreground trailing off into the little softer background. And I've used this example before, but if you stand out on a hillside and you look down at the flowers at your feet, they're going to be more resolute. They're going to be more contrasty. They're going to be more saturated in color. And then you look off into the distance and you look up at the mountains or the hills in the distance, they're always going to be softer, and they're going to be diffused by the atmosphere between you and the background. And so don't be too distressed about trying to get the foreground tack sharp and the background tack sharp so much that you feel like you have to rely on focus stacking. Okay. I use focus stacking when my foreground is so close that I have no other way of making my my depth of field deeper. Okay, so then I will focus stack a photograph. Okay, but if you're just doing a shot like this, it's not really necessary. Like I said, I've printed this one 5 feet wide, and I've got a client now that I think is going to pick that up. And I've got other clients that have done 5 foot wide photos that have been bought for me in the past, but not necessarily this one. So Just remember acceptable focus. And if it's not an acceptable focus for you, then make sure that you go back through the steps that I showed you. Stop down and focus to infinity and pull back until your foreground is just in focus and you've done all you can to get the background in focus. Okay. And this, if your depth of field still isn't deep enough, stand back from your foreground. Okay. Where was I? Okay. I'm getting ready to do the Orton effect here. So I got the Orton effect as a action that I do. So I'm going to click that and it's going to do its thing. I'm going to collapse this back in again. And you can see what the Orton effect did to this photo. All right. Now I can open this and I can come down through here. Now the light layer, it's giving it a little bit of softness up there. And I'm not sure I even want it yet. So I'm going to click it off. But I do want to mess with the opacity of this dark layer. And I've sent this action out to a few folks that have been watching me here. So if you don't have this action, or if you want this action, get a hold of me and I'll email it to you. And you can install it in Photoshop and you can use it. So, all right. All right. So I'm going to affect the opacity of this because I may not necessarily want it all. I'll bring it all the way to the left and I'll pull up on it to where I want it, where I think it's going to be fine. All right. And just keep in mind too, that once I make this, I'm going to probably come up here and do another levels adjustment. Okay. This will allow me to do the mid-range, which is the middle slider. All right. Highlights over here on the right. And I probably won't do my deep shadows because I think I've got all my shadows as dark as I want them. But I will mess with my my me and my brain, my mid-range. What am I trying to say? You guys are seeing me melt down right here in the middle of my talk to you. Oh, okay, Scott. Yeah, I'm happy to send it to you. Okay. Remind me if I don't do it when I get done here. Just remind me. Okay. You know how to get a hold of me. Yeah, doing explaining the process kind of loses some people. So I just say, well, if you want to know how to create your own action to do this, let me know and I can show you how to do it. I may even make a video in the future about how to create an action, and I'll use this as an example. But instead of doing that, just get a hold of me, and it's pretty easy to be able to drop this action and install it into Photoshop, okay? All right, so now that I've created my Orton effect, and I've adjusted it the way I want it, I'm going to mess with my levels adjustment here, all right? And I'm keeping an eye on my histogram here too, because a lot of times, you know, you get zoned into the picture, and you kind of lose track of how bright or dark it is. And so if you look up here, you can always be reminded, and you get used to it as you go too. Okay. All right, Shauna, you got it. All right. Shoot me an email because it's probably best if I send it to you in an email. So if you email me, here's my email address. It'll do one of two things. It'll remind me, and it'll also allow me to just hit reply. There's my email. So I don't have a Norton Effect app to speak of. I feel dirty. I didn't take my shower today. I'm having to borrow my neighbor's shower across the way, so I try not to mess with him when he's at home. I wait till he goes to work in the morning and then I go. So pardon my appearance. I have a Orton effect action that I use when I'm in Photoshop. So I don't really have a way of. Oh, good. I don't feel so bad now. I love that. It's a Sunday, so we're chill. We're laid back. We're not doing anything we don't want to do. Not that I didn't want to have a shower. It's just it would have been nice, but it's motivating me to get the one done here. Okay, so where are we at? Oh yeah, I'm adjusting my levels over here. Okay, so my midtones here, I've adjusted those a little bit. And I might mess with my highlights a little bit here just to give them a little pop. Something else too is you can dull your highlights by moving this slider down, or your highlights. So if they're little bit too bright, you can always use this slider here. And the same with on the shadows. If you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll notice that you can mess with the flatness of the shadows and stuff there. So I don't mess with this stuff too much, but there are times when I may do it. So, all right, let me see here. Where would I go now? We're pretty much there, you guys. All right. I'm thinking, I may split some hairs. I may walk away, leave it for about an hour or two, then come back in and mess with it a little bit more. Because last thing you want to do is you want to upload this thing to Facebook or Instagram and then look at it and go, holy shit, what was I thinking, So always sit on your photographs. I know you got a great photograph and you want to show everybody, but just make sure that you're finished processing it the way you want to before you shoot it off into the hinterlands. Okay. It's always a good process. It's always a good practice to do that. So, all right. I just did the same thing. I hit Shift, Control, Alt, or Option E. I made this layer up here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of sharpening with this. Okay. And I may look in here and see if there's anything I want to get rid of too. Let me look here. See this little speck over here? Let's see, where's my? There it is. Now I'm using the remove tool over here on the upper left-hand side. Okay. All right, and I'm going to look at this little pin of light here. It may be a little bit distracting, so I'm going to go okay. I'm going to hit okay, and it's going to remove that for me. Not too much, really. It'd be kind of cool to remove the fence. And I think I may have done that on the other one that I did. But there's really no reason to. And, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to leave it the way it is. Okay. All right. Now, let's see if I can. Let's see here. Let me bring this. Let me call this good. Let's do some sharpening first. I've been using Topaz lately. The one in Photoshop works pretty good, but I'm kind of been using Topaz lately just to see how I like it. And at first, I thought it was really it really wasn't all that good. But as time goes by, they're improving it, and it's getting better and better as they go. So I like to go into a denoise, Topaz denoise, because it allows me to be able to do away with the noise in the sky. All right. Which we didn't have a ton of noise, but we still had some noise there. It'll allow you to get away or do away with the noise, but at the same time, it allows you to sharpen things too. So I got Topaz Sharpen, but I never use it because everything that I need is right here. So it allows you to click on different presets up here. Let me reset them because I've messed with a few of them here. All right, so you can click on standard. You can look at these one at a time. You can do it half and half, or so you can compare what you're doing, okay, which comes in pretty handy. You can do it side by side to see what you're doing. You can also do the 4 squares, and it'll allow you to compare 4 different settings, okay? So I've got standard up here, clear here, low light here, and severe noise down here. And so I'm going to just take a look at these and see if it's too mushy or if my noise is out of the sky adequately. Now this one down here, low light, worked really well with the noise. And it didn't really do that much to the building here. Let me bring this down to the bottom so I can look at my foreground and see what it's doing to the foreground here. All right. Okay, so far I think low light is the one that I like the best, so. Let me get here. All right, it's applying it down here. So I think it did everything that I wanted it to do. My foreground is a little soft, I just noticed, but I guess I wasn't paying attention that night. But it doesn't really matter. You know, sometimes we fret over these photos to a point where we discourage ourselves. All right, I'm hitting to apply. You know, for years, I did my best to make sure that I didn't have things out of focus in the foreground, you know. And lately, I've been looking on Instagram, and the latest craze is to make sure you got something out of focus in the foreground. So, you know, what can you do? What can you do? All right. It takes it a few minutes for it to process here, but we'll get her done. All right. Let's take a look at it here. That barn looks good. The mountain looks fine. The trees look good. The foreground looks good. Good enough. And we got a picture. Okay. Layer. Up, I'm going up here to the top. Hit layer. Hit flatten image. I got one turned off down here. I'll show you. It's telling me that I've got. Where is it? No, I guess I don't, do I? Oh, wait a minute. I know what it is. It's in here. I turned off the light layer. Okay. So now I'm going to hit layer, flatten image. It's telling me I have a hidden layer. I'm going to hit discard the layer and hit OK. Okay. Now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to close it out. I'm just going to hit the X mark up here, and it'll ask me if I want to save it. I'm going to hit yes, I want to save it. Then you can come down in here to Lightroom again, and it'll open up in Lightroom for you. Okay. So now if for some reason you wanted to, whoops, oh, come on, make some more adjustments here, you can do that. Fine tune it a little bit more. So there you go. All right. 1 hour. I don't want to keep you guys. You guys won't want to come and watch these if they last all night long. So you guys have any questions before I go? Lay them on me. Otherwise, I put my email in here. Email me and I'll make sure that I get the action for Photoshop to you guys. And just remember that you can always go back and watch these later on if you wanted to come back and look. Then you can fast forward it or do what you needed to do to get the information you need. So, but these will be just on my YouTube video list after they're done. So, all right. Any questions, everybody? My mom told me I'm not supposed to do that. My mom is watching these. I don't know if you guys realize that, but my mom watches my live videos here. She goes, you got to stop hitting your hands on the desk. And I don't know why I do it, but I'm trying to make sure I don't do that. So reshare when switching from one app to the other. I'll see what I can do. I think I may know what you're talking about. So, thank you. I appreciate that a lot, Randy. I appreciate that a lot. Randy, I'm glad you're here, buddy. I'd like to see you in person here one of these days. And I'll see what I can do about resharing. I think what it is, that's exactly what it is. When I go from Lightroom to Photoshop, I have to reshare the screen. So yeah, I'm learning. I'm a little bit. This is my third one now, so I feel really good about that. I feel like I've done really well. So yeah, I'm looking over here reading your comments. So promise me, Randy. Hey Scott, you're welcome. I'm happy. I'm really happy that I'm able to, to impart some of the stuff I've learned to enthusiastic people. And I'll tell you, Scott, you you motivate me. You really do. I really enjoy what you're doing with your work too. Okay. Rachel, I appreciate you being here, Rachel. Thank you very much. And Shauna, thank you. Alan, Clyde, love you guys. And Jeff, are you still here? I hope so. Hope I did. And Jay, are you still here, buddy? I hope so. I'm glad you came. Although you probably don't need anything that I could teach you. Your work is just brilliant. I love it. I'm really glad we were able to meet in Colorado. We've established a really good friendship, and I'm really fortunate to have met you, and I really appreciate you, man. And so keep up the inspiration. So, hey. All right, guys, if you need me, you know how to reach me. I'm going to cut this off. So hope everybody's good. Reach out to me if you need anything at all. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. So, let other people know about it if you think about it. I'd be happy to have more people show up. And I promise I won't change it away from 6 p.m. I'll keep it at 6 p.m. forever. Unless I have another good reason to change it. But I won't. I'm going to leave it at 6. I think it works out fine. 6 would be 9 o'clock Eastern time. And if they watch it if I keep these to about an hour, then 10 o'clock, maybe they'll stay up till 10. So, all right, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Hope I meet you out in the field.